There's a strange irony in the age of information. We've never had more access to knowledge, and yet wisdom feels rare. Behind many of history's great failures were great minds, and behind many modern disconnects are brilliant thinkers. So what's the problem with intellectuals?
Being smart is often confused with being right. But intelligence, raw IQ, fast thinking, big vocabulary doesn't guarantee clarity. In fact, it often hides a dangerous flaw, the illusion of certainty. The more we know, the more we think we know everything. The real world, however, is not a textbook. It's messy, emotional, unpredictable. But the intellectual mind, trained to solve problems, can become blind to its own assumptions, like a chess master trying to play poker. Brilliant, but in the wrong game. There's a reason why some of the greatest minds are also the most socially disconnected. The intellectual often lives in abstractions, theories, models, language. And while these are tools for understanding, they can also become walls between thought and reality, between mind and heart. When you're too far in your head, you lose touch with what's human. Compassion becomes data. Suffering becomes a statistic. You may know the concept of love, but fail to feel it. You may speak eloquently about justice, but ignore its cries outside your door. Here's a dangerous trick. Use big words. Complicate everything. Then no one will question you. Many intellectuals hide behind complexity. It's easier to appear profound than to be clear. But clarity requires courage. Simplicity is hard. It demands understanding. Sometimes people aren't too done to get it. Sometimes the intellectual is too afraid to make it simple. We often think of ego as a trait of the loud and proud. But intellectual ego is quieter and trickier. It whispers, "I'm smarter than them. They don't understand me. I don't need to listen. They're not on my level." This ego isolates. It refuses to learn from the ordinary. It overlooks the wisdom of the grandmother, the intuition of the artist, the lessons of failure. And in its arrogance, it becomes ignorant. Another trap. The intellectual becomes addicted to knowing, not doing. They read every book on swimming, but never touch the water. They debate endlessly about morality, but ignore the man starving on the street. They write essays on mindfulness while being completely unmindful. Knowledge is not transformation. Action is. But when intellect is not grounded in practice, it becomes performance. Debate is fun for the intellectual. Ideas become sport. Words become weapons. But sometimes this is just avoidance, because real change is uncomfortable. It threatens identity. It requires humility, the willingness to be wrong. And the more intelligent we are, the harder that becomes. We'd rather win the argument than grow. History is full of thinkers who led millions astray. They spoke eloquently. They published books. They were revered in their time. And yet, they sowed disaster. Why?
Because intelligence without ethics is dangerous. Because logic without empathy is cruel. Because ideas, when disconnected from reality, can destroy it. Even the brightest mind can be blinded by its own brilliance. In ancient traditions, the wise were not just smart. They were humble, grounded, present. They listened more than they spoke. They sought understanding, not superiority. They didn't seek to impress, but to serve. There's a difference between the clever and the wise. One dazzles, the other sees clearly. So what's the problem with intellectuals? It's not intelligence itself, it's the isolation of it. It's the ego, the detachment, the refusal to feel. It's the comfort of theory over the discomfort of life. But there's hope. When intellect is balanced with humility, when brilliance is grounded in compassion, when thinking is paired with living, the mind becomes more than sharp. It becomes wise, and wisdom changes everything.